lure me back in. I haven't even played them, not once.
Yeah.
Now I'm totally getting into this. Alright, so I'm gonna set us a timer here.
Okay, no, that's the old
Set
video.
timer for 30 minutes. That's right.
Your timer is set for 30 minutes.
They could probably hear that. You won't hear anything while any of this archived footage is being brought up while we're doing this, and why we're doing this. I'm doing this for a music video. We're going to shoot a video for Hoboken, New Jersey, which will pop up on the official YouTube channel here sometime, maybe mid-spring. Hopefully before we hit the road and do a couple dates out of town. I am with my cousin, Rick. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
All right. To all of maybe one or two people who will probably tune into this. But this will be completely informative. We're just going to talk over Street Fighter. So if you think that this is boring, look elsewhere. So, at any rate, so part of the reason I'm doing this is, like I said before, I'm shooting a music video for a song called Hoboken, New Jersey. It's not really about New Jersey in particular, but there's a place we played in New Jersey called the Meat Locker quite a few years ago, and they had a Street Fighter arcade machine downstairs, and I made a small bet that I could kick somebody's ass with Blanca, and I won. And then somebody picked Zangief and just destroyed the shit out of me. So, and Dalsum, I got a weakness for Dalsum. But I figured while we got this up and we're taking up people's time here, we could talk a little bit about Street Fighter in general. I'm going to be doing this, surprise, for all 5 games. All 4 Street Fighter games have an attract mode in them. This is what this is called, where you would walk past an arcade machine and you see some ass kicking going on and want to just drop a quarter into it. Back, you know, when quarters were disposable and shit. So yeah, we're just gonna be talking over some attract modes. We'll do Street Fighter 1, maybe Street Fighter 2 tonight. If anybody wants to chime in on what version of Street Fighter you want to see, just kind of randomly playing in the background and test my knowledge of the game series to see if I'm the real deal or not. You can do that by let me know what version of Street Fighter you want to hear see next, and it will probably happen tonight. We're only gonna do these for about a half hour apiece. So, Street Fighter 1, originally released in arcades in 1987. How old were you in 1987, Rick?
1987. I was not born yet.
You was negative a couple of years old.
Yep, I was born in '89. So, although I have played Street Fighter, there was definitely a copy on the old NES that I got my hands on. So it wasn't an arcade version, but I definitely got my hands on it once or twice.
Did they make a Street Fighter for the NES?
I'm pretty sure. I remember playing a red-haired karate guy jumping around Buddhist monks in the face. So I'm pretty sure it was Street Fighter.
I know they made one on Commodore 64. Woohoo! PC Engine or TurboGrafx for the North American folks. But I don't see, I don't see anything other than that.
Maybe it was a bootleg copy. I don't know. It's definitely in there and rattling around in my head somewhere.
Strong possibility. Strong possibility. I don't even know who this character he's fighting is. That's the problem with Street Fighter 1 is there's only 2 characters that you know of that even matter. Like this fella right here at the beginning of the game. I'd have to believe that that's either like Eagle or no, maybe it's just Eagle. I don't know who that is. It could be Nash or Charlie. It beats the hell out of me. There wasn't like any story in these games. One thing about the character art which blows my mind is that the same artist that did Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 3 did the same art in this game. And you want to talk about artist growth. Akimon totally grew as an artist throughout the years of making this game. This game looks so primitive compared to anything else. And if you ever play this game, I will just apologize in advance. If you think like just a quarter circle forward and tapping the punch button is going to yield you a Hadouken, you've got another thing coming. You will break a controller trying to throw a Hadouken on this game. I just loaded it up to play my son a little bit to kind of show him the ins and outs of the old Street Fighter, and it was so bad. We looked at each other like a 10-second pause, and just it was eye to eye, and we didn't have to say a word. We were done with it. Now, I did originally play this game in an arcade in Windsor when I was a kid. My parents stayed at a motel, and they had like a cool arcade in the basement there. And at the time, this wasn't when this game was new. This was probably sitting back in the corner for probably a few years, collecting like a mountain of dust on it, for good reason, obviously. The arcade was pretty cool. It had like all kinds of fighting games. It had Street Fighter 2. I think Street Fighter 2 hadn't even had like a Turbo edition yet. So it was just straight up Street Fighter 2. Vanilla Street Fighter 2 was out at the time. I believe Fatal Fury was out at the time. I played the shitload out of Fatal Fury, and I saw this arcade cabinet in the back, and it had these really large buttons on it, and it was really cumbersome. You had to like do the motions on the controller, and you had to like punch the control pads, or the buttons themselves were like these red and blue like punch pads. And the harder you punched it, the harder your move would be, instead of having like 3 buttons for light, medium, and hard. So yeah, you basically break your wrist trying to play this stupid game. But this is absolutely, by far, the worst Street Fighter game ever. I know there's a version of this on TurboGrafx that was kind of faithful to this, but you know, consider the source. This game looks like complete and utter dog shit.
I don't know. I've seen worse looking AAA games these days, so all things considered, it's not that bad.
You know, the game that it reminds me of is like Karate Champ. I don't know if you've ever seen Karate Champ before, but Karate Champ was like one of those real primitive games too, and this was like the answer to Karate Champ. Karate Champ was burning up arcades left and right. And so Capcom had to get on the craze, and this looks better in every possible way, but once you start playing it, it's absolutely, let's just say, I'd rather, like, put duct tape on my eyebrows and rip them off. So, but some useful knowledge about this game. There's only a couple characters in this game. Obviously, you can be Ken or Ryu. Other than that, you fight, like, I think there's Eagle. Eagle's a character in this game. Sagat's obviously a character in the game. They look really bad. I think Gen, although I don't think he's called Gen in this version, but he's in it. Yeah, I guess it is Gen. Yeah, there's Gen. Geki, which is just like a ninja. He's pretty terrible. Birdie, which, little factoid for you here, Birdie is culturally appropriated in this game. He's a white guy. And, originally, from what I know, that Birdie was supposed to always be, an African-American character, and they didn't put that in there. These crazy Japanese, because they thought that it may be, the character sprite of him may be too racist. Probably a good call. Seeing as I think that there's a lot of racism going on in Street Fighter in general. I mean, like Street Fighter 2, you got a guy named Dalsim who basically attacks and says yoga every time he attacks. Like, just saying yoga is going to make him Indian somehow. I don't know. This game does not have... I don't think it had like a proper versus mode, I don't think. Or if you did, it was just like you versus Ken. I think that's it.
Was it probably one of those like you had to input a special code to even get a second player on the screen?
I'm pretty sure it was a side by side, like the standard that we know today. But I don't think like you could pick a character. I think like player 2, even if you played player two's side, when you press start on the machine, you would just be Ken. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, anybody wants to chime in, make me look like an idiot, that's cool. I'm down with all of that. But, yeah, as far as this game goes, like I said, my only experience is playing at that one arcade in Windsor. And I clearly went back to Fatal Fury. Because Fatal Fury was a much better game. I think even Fatal Fury at the time, when vanilla Street Fighter 2 was kind of out, I think Fatal Fury was maybe a notch better because it had like that shifting plane where you can kind of you can fight on two different two-dimensional planes. If that doesn't sound confusing, which it kind of was. But yeah, yeah. Eagle, he's made appearances in other Street Fighter or Capcom games. I'm pretty sure Eagle is in Capcom versus SNK 2. He's pretty much a badass in that game. There is Adon, who's also in like Street Fighter Alpha, which is like a like a throwback to Street Fighter's earlier days. And then, of course, like I said, the only other fighter in the game would be Sagat. And then if you could basically make it past any of these characters who have like the SNK boss difficulty from hell, even on the easiest difficulty in this game, it is almost impossible to beat this game. I've never beat it. I never even bothered. It was such trash. But somehow, this game helped me love Mortal Kombat, or not Mortal Kombat, but maybe love Street Fighter 2 even more. So Street Fighter 2 just became a way better series. It's more iconic. You can look at colors of characters on Street Fighter 2 and know exactly what character it is. Even if it's just like a three-color square, you know what color those squares represent. I have a piece of art somewhere that somebody did for me. It was like all the characters from Street Fighter, and all they were was like these little sticks. And they're colored in three colors only. So Chun-Li was like blue and yellow and blue, yellow, and white. Ryu would be obviously red, white, and black. But yeah, this game is absolute awful.
It's aged hasn't aged it aged well. It's like a fine wine,
Right,
except
yeah.
fine box wine.
You know what I'm thankful for? That this is only going to be footage playing on a TV in the background. As though
And we don't actually have to play it.
Right, we don't have to play it. That's probably the biggest selling point for any of this stuff, is that we don't have to actually play this game for real. I'm kind of glad that if we were playing this game and I was making a song about Street Fighter and I played this song in the background as part of the music video, people would be like, what the fuck is that? It's almost unrecognizable. I think I'll do like these splash borders on the sides to show off some of the fancy artwork. It's all Akiman art, believe it or not. And like I said, this is probably some of the worst. I can't even imagine a guy getting a job now in a field of design with characters that look that butt.
I still just it looks like somebody cut out a piece of Ken's face and put it on that body to the left. Like, I can't stop seeing that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty rough. Yeah, I hope we get a good, pretty good turnout to film this here. I got some ideas. I don't know if I want to script some things out Because obviously it's gonna have to be scripted. You can't like, it's punk rock, folks. You can't like put like a 2-minute video and make a production of it and only give people 2 minutes worth of video. Um, I don't think that that floats today. So I do want to kind of maybe script it out a little bit and have a little bit of fun with it. I don't want to spoil anything on here, or if anybody floats it around and listens to it. But I know for sure we're gonna film this in my garage, surrounded by all the versions of Street Fighter, which is what this is for. And then we'll play a show. I think we're gonna do like a, for having everybody out. I imagine the best thing we do is like not just play the same song like 100 times. Although it's gonna happen. So if you guys hate the song already, I'm sorry. You're gonna hear it a whole lot.
You might just have to tell your neighbors that, not the audience.
Yeah, right. I think my neighbors will actually be pretty cool with it. It'll be during the day. The only thing I'm worried about is like how many people we can cram in this garage and keep things safe. I mean, I want people to have a good time, and like I said, we're gonna probably play 10 songs, maybe some upcoming things that we're working on. I'd like to do a lot of videos this year, which is kind of why I'm on here right now. I know we don't like do a lot or get on YouTube or anything really a lot lately. It's winter time in Michigan, and if you guys know anything about Michigan winters are sub-freezing temperatures, and my arcade is like literally in my garage. I have to walk outside of my house to come here. It's the garage is completely detached, and it's cold as hell out here. And there's no way I'm playing arcade games or expecting anybody to come out here, watch a band play in front of a bunch of arcade machines, and expect any kind of movement from anybody other than shivering in the winter. So spring is a good start. Act here.
It's almost like you made a song just about that.
What's that?
Oh, you let the audience know how you feel about a certain second month of the year.
Oh, yeah. Month number 2, the worst month of all, February. Yeah. Almost like, we basically wrote an entire album just about how much I hate February, so, yeah, it's, I kind of get on certain things and stick on them really, real hard. I don't know, maybe I have like some type of mental disorder where I just can't let shit go. February was the one I couldn't let go that particular year, so.
I mean, you're a singer in a punk band. I'm pretty sure that's like part of the resume.
Yeah, well, small fact, I was not actually the original singer of that band. Buddy of mine, singer of You Dirty Rat, Matt Bruce, was actually the original singer of this band. Probably the better singer of the band, if you want my honest opinion. Yeah, we've gone through a lot of changes. Hopefully, we'll have hopefully I can get every person who's ever been in Aggro or Die to be in that video. Will be really cool. We're still pretty, relatively tight with each other. We don't, nobody who's ever been in our band before, I don't think has ever been like ousted or anything like that. Most people who have been in this band have either left for personal reasons or just couldn't kind of commit to it, or probably just couldn't deal with my complete spontaneity. Which explains a lot of this stuff with this video stuff. I want to try to do as many of these as we can in the next couple of years, because I think just selling records might not be enough. So I wanted to try to see what I could cram in 30 days. Like each project, from the song to the recording, how much can we push ourselves in 30 days to put something out? I don't think that that's going to happen. It's not a commitment that I'm making right now. It's a commitment I would love to be able to say, like, yeah, shit, we just kind of get together and we just make music videos, and we're still putting out records and this and that, and we can do a bunch of stuff. I can't make any promises, but I definitely want to. We're all like dads. We all got jobby jobs. I get as much time to play Street Fighter as I do to play shows anymore. So, and then I'm wasting all of my time right now talking about Street Fighter 2 in Street Fighter over Street Fighter 1 instead of playing it, which, this one is absolutely the exception to the rule. I will not press start on this game. It's that bad.
I mean, I wasn't going to say you were wasting your time, but then we have to remember what game we're looking at here.
Right. I mean, if you had this game, I'd say it'd be cool to get on and play Street Fighter 2. I don't know how this game's net code is or anything like that. I'm pretty sure this is like GGPO. I thought. I might be wrong. It could be complete.
I would honestly be surprised if there was netcode for this game.
I mean, it's got to play online somehow. I mean, so there's definitely netcode in there. How good it is, well, it's anybody's guess. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on the Xbox 360 had pretty good netcode for what it was. And I still kind of kick that around a little bit. Which, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 at EVO is, to say the very least, mind-blowing for me. How old is Marvel vs. Capcom 2 now? What, 2000 and 2001?
That's a good question.
Maybe before that. Maybe 1999. You could always consult the interwebs.
February 24th, 2000 is when Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes was released.
So that game is almost 20 years old, and it's going to be... Well, it will be 20 years old. It's going to be what was that, the main stage, like one of the main events for EVO this year.
Yep, that's the main reason why they brought it back was because it is the 20th year anniversary of Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Well, I hope they up that license and reissue some versions of that game. So
I would rather them just put out a brand new Marvel vs. Capcom game, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I like 2 a lot. 2 is really good. I mean, like, I bought 2 on the Xbox 360. If I was able to just take that existing game and pop it over on the Xbox One, I'd be pretty happy. I don't play a lot of Xbox One, but I'd make an exception.
Really, if Capcom wanted to just print money, they would just, get rid of the versus Capcom part and just say Marvel versus and say, do the Smash Brothers thing of just invite everybody to come get their ass beat in Marvel.
In
Capcom.
I don't think that they'll do that. I think if they did, they would do it with their own characters, which they have plenty of characters to kind of pull from, to make a Capcom versus game.
The guest characters are how you bring in the fans outside of Capcom. That's how you get your SNKs, your Mortal Kombats. You can get Nintendo in there.
Oh, you mean look at Smash Brothers? I mean, Smash Brothers is video games, the video game, no doubt. It literally is. It's like every character in every video game ever fighting it out, So
now let's just make that 3v3 and give them all real badass supers, and there we have the best game ever made.
Speaking of like games that are cool in 3v3, I was digging around and I found my fight stick for Tatsunoko versus Capcom. A complete heartbreak. I have the case for the game, but no game. And that's a game that's that'll never get ported to current gen consoles, and it's a complete shame. That game cost them so much money to bring over here. I'm pretty positive they lost their ass on that game. So
I mean, they probably lost it overseas, but I don't know. Something tells me that did pretty well in the Japanese markets.
Yeah. Over here, I'm sure there's a lot of characters that are like, who the hell is that? Goldar, what the hell is that? Outside of some of the Gachamon characters, I don't think anybody knows anything about Tatsunoko. Really, too much, And that's a great game. It was a really awesome game for the Wii. As a Wii exclusive, it's a strange get on behalf of Nintendo. But Nintendo in their virtual console space and reissuing anything other than like Wii U ports It'd be a strong move, just saying, Nintendo. Get in there and get a little of that Capcom money. Although I think Capcom shows a lot of disrespect to the Wii, in my opinion. Well, I think they're kind of they've gotten better over the last couple of years, but like that version of Street Fighter 2 that came out on the Wii was not really all that great. They gave us Violent Ken, which was more than I was hoping for, but the game on the Wii itself or on the Switch plays like shit. It's unfortunate. So a little factoid. I was talking with you about this earlier about the word Hadouken and what it actually means. And so Hadouken, what did we find that meant? What did it?
Wasn't it just like surging punch?
Fist, surge fist, surge
yeah.
fist? Yeah. I like Shoryuken much better because it absolutely makes sense, and I can understand all the different words in that. As far as Shoryuken are concerned, Tatsumaku Senpu Kyaku, I have no idea. Was it Tornado Whirlwind Kick? I'm kind of glad
Something
they didn't say that in English. Kind of some things they just need to not say in English in a fighting game. I think Guile could take a couple cues.
Even people that speak English don't like to hear English, so...
Yeah, it just doesn't roll off the tongue all that eloquently, if you want my honest opinion.
All you gotta do is hear English Akuma say 1,000 raging deaths or whatever it is. It's like, no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Turn that shit off. It's almost blasphemous when you hear it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like Shoryuken is just, your rising dragon fist, which, you got the three words. Sho for the rising, Ryu for dragon, and Ken for fist.
And another random dollop of knowledge that came out of this conversation, I just realized why Ken in Fist of the North Star is Fist of the North Star, because I did not know Ken literally meant fist. So
that's right. He is. Yeah, he's the
put that
Fist
in your
of the North
bonnet.
Star. Ken of the North Star. Put that in your pipe and smoke it,
or something like that.
With these the next one here, I'm just gonna turn my controller's disconnect off.
Oh, it just disconnected on you?
It did, yeah. The next one, I'll just make sure we don't have that happen. I think I'll let you pick, because I don't have any way to know if anybody's actually chimed in or not. But Street Fighter 2, which version of Street Fighter 2 should honestly be represented? I mean, you got Super Street Fighter 2, which is like the quintessential Street Fighter 2. I mean, it's like the version that we all get Akuma from. But then there's like, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which was like probably, in my opinion, I think it's like the pinnacle of the series. It definitely looks.
I'm gonna say that. So the very first Street Fighter that I ever really truly got my hands on was Street Fighter Alpha 2 Turbo for the Super Nintendo.
Ah.
That's a Street Fighter game that I originally cut my teeth on as a youngin.
Street Fighter Alpha 2
Turbo. I believe there was a turbo version of that as well, and that because I remember that was one of those every other week going to the video store to pick up a cartridge to rent.
Well, Street Fighter Alpha,
Street Fighter.
Only version of Street Fighter Alpha that ever got like any kind of revisions in the United States was 3. Street Fighter 3, or Street Fighter Alpha 3 got Street Fighter Alpha 3, Street Fighter Alpha 3 Zero, and the Japanese one was Street Fighter 03, and then we got Street Fighter 3 Upper, and then I think we got Street Fighter Alpha 3 Saikyo Dojo, which is the Dreamcast version of that, where it's just basically a bunch of... It's got kind of like a world tour mode, but it's kind of like hosted by Dan Hibiki.
I mean, who else would you want to host a tournament?
The best version of Street Fighter Alpha 3 is by far the Sega Saturn version of the game. Which I have that tucked away somewhere. It's one of my absolute treasures of fighting games. It's like my golden ticket of fighting games is Street Fighter Alpha 3. But as far as Street Fighter 2 is concerned, the versions of that are Street Fighter 2 Turbo, or excuse me, Champion Edition came out first. Then we have Street Fighter 2 Turbo, excuse me. I said Champion Edition first, right? And then Turbo. And then it was Super Street Fighter 2. And then there's Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. And I think that might be it. I thought there were 6 versions of Street Fighter 2.
I didn't hear you say the word alpha, and I know for a fact I played me some alpha too.
There are alphas. The alphas was primarily a bigger in Japan hit, and like I said, Street Fighter Alpha kind of replaced Street Fighter 1. I think because Street Fighter 1 was so unrecognizable, they had to kind of have something that kind of goes back a little bit, and so Street Fighter Alpha is kind of their way of making right on this miserable pile of a game. So, I think we're going to cut it off here, and we'll be back with a Street Fighter 2 iteration, perhaps of your choosing, sir. And we'll discuss that further as we watch the wonderful attract mode. Don't you want to drop quarters in right now?
I mean, listen, I don't got any laundry to do. What else is it going to be used for?
Right. All right. That's enough for that.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. We'll be back. All right. So let's see. You probably can't see my screen now, can you?
Are you still looking at Alpha or the Street Fighter 1? Okay, no, it just went offline.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to go here first. Let me go to this device setting here and fucking turn this controller to not go off on me.
Wasn't like the Street Fighter movie, the Alpha like the animated one back in the late 90s or something?
No, there's 2. There is a Street Fighter Alpha series, and that came out after the Street Fighter 2 anime series came out. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, okay, let me go back in here. Yeah, Street Fighter 2. Oh, I gotta go in here and quit this game. I said quit. Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition, Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Oh, I actually do have your screen right now. Sweet.
Super Street Fighter 2, and then Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. We can go in the vanilla version, and then of course you got this awesome ass artwork on the background here.
I mean, listen, it's your video. I'm gonna let you do it. My vote's Alpha, but that's because I'm biased.
Yeah, I don't want to do Alpha because the only reason I don't want to do Alpha is because it's like a side story between the mainline canon games.
I mean, yeah, you say that, but it's so much better.
It is a fuck ton better. I definitely don't disagree with you there. Okay, original.
But you're the artist, you know. You got final say. I get it.
But I'll let you see. This is the Street Fighter 2, and then we'll work our way up because this is the intro for this. This is really basic.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the splash screen around it's pretty basic. It looks just like my other arcade cabinet. Let's go to Street Fighter
Yeah,
2 Hyper
that's
Fighting.
like some straight up 90s arcade cabinet art they got there. And
Yeah,
I
actually,
love it.
there's no difference between Champion Edition at all, except that the letter's blue instead of orange, obviously, and you can pick the same character. So that I could go into that, like that's such a non-reason, and there's some small balance fixes and stuff, but that was like the biggest change to that game.
That's weird. That's weird that they had to put out a whole nother title just so you could basically pick the same character. But
Yeah.
you know, you didn't have patches back then because the internet wasn't really a thing yet.
I think what they do, they just change the graphic font here to purple and pink, or pink and orange. And that's
Yeah,
it.
that looks-
And they added the bosses. I mean, you know, it's pretty basic. So let's go ahead and let's look.
Oh, and this one's called Hyper Fighting.
That's right. Or Turbo, as it's affectionately named. I wish I had like Rainbow Edition because it would be like super ridiculous and stupid.
So is Turbo because like when you watch Street Fighter 1, it's pretty slow and clunky. Does the Turbo mode literally speed it up to the like speed that we're more used to?
Yeah. The basic
Okay.
speed is like what people know as Street Fighter today. Like Speed 3 is comparable to what Speed 1 would be on any fighting game now. And of course, this is the new challengers. They added 4 characters, and of course the bosses were already playable. This still looks very much just like regular vanilla Street Fighter, except for there's a couple of caveats to that. Are you actually playing?
I'm watching you.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
watching
no.
Street Fighter 2 right now.
It's just moving along because I didn't pick anything. I didn't know it did that. It's on its own attract mode, like as though like it's clearly how they did this is so you knew that you could actually pop a quarter in and interrupt a game. That's exactly why that was there. And so we'll go out here and I will go to Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which was my first like real deal getting in and competing. Has a cooler intro.
They definitely have reused this intro, haven't they? Because this looks familiar, and I definitely never played Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Yeah, Super Street Fighter. All the Super Street Fighters have the Ryu charging up the Hadouken, and
Okay.
the only difference with this is you got Cammy and Chun-Li in the background.
Mm.
And then, of course, when you see the game load up, this is like still CPS 2 hardware, I believe. It might. And of course, the game is way faster, and they have like super bars at the bottom. So this is like the
Oh, you can even see them like stance idle there faster.
yes, absolutely. And they all have like all the characters have new background sprites for their character select.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ryu looks a little bit more tougher. They got rid of his goatee from Super Street Fighter 2, which is one of the changes they made in Street Fighter 2. They gave him like a little bit of a dusting on the chin. And I'm pretty sure every one of these will have like an interruption where...
Oh man, that fire animation is straight 90s though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and then there's your super bar filling up at the bottom. Fei Long, the Bruce Lee character. So I think we should do this one here, and we'll start on this here. Let me go back here. Any Street Fighter, Super Street Fighter 2.
I like how Cammy just randomly sticks her tongue out, and it looks so awkward.
It does. It's absolutely awkward. It's like they thought like somehow like that makes women look
Badass and tough, I guess.
or sexy or whatever they were trying to get with that.
Listen, Cammy's sexy enough as it is. She didn't need to like stick out her tongue and looks like a worm's trying to make it escape or something in her big bird nose.
Super Street Fighter 2. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. that pulled up. Guys, got any questions here? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll start this one here. Broadcast settings. Oh, was it? So I'm going to have to go ahead and stop the broadcast.